Good morning, Terrell here. In this video, we're going to be doing I want to say it's like an 06 Forester, just general maintenance. But I thought I'd just do one video like that and see how well I could record it and see how it turns out. This is the vehicle here. She's lifted all the way around. Pretty dang high up in the air. So I believe we're going to be doing a power steering rack, transmission flush, rear diff flush, valve cover gaskets, spark plugs, zinc headers, and then both rear CV axles because the boots are broken. We're just trying to replace them. And I'm not entirely sure what else, but at least those to look forward to. So for this Forester, I think I'm going to start with just fluids. Just going to drain the transmission and the rear diff. And then I'm going to pull the rear axles out of the rear diff. That way that if there's any fluid that leaks out, it's going to do it when they're out. But that way that the fluid's out, so hopefully it doesn't come out the sides. It'll just come out the rear of the diff, obviously. And then I'll fill that back up, fill the trans back up, and then start working on the engine stuff. I don't think I'm going to get to the steering rack in this particular video, but I'm going to at least get most of the stuff done. Hopefully headers, exhaust, that kind of stuff done. You're going to start by breaking the top one loose. That way you have airflow. It doesn't come out like bloop, bloop, bloop. See if I can break this thing loose. My goodness. Come on loose. Oh my goodness, man. Whew. Pretty simple at this point. I had to pull the top one out first. Just like that. And then the bottom one out. Because then the airflow goes through and out. It doesn't go like bloop, bloop, bloop. Usually it just pours nicely like that. Nice and easy. Put the bottom one back in, and like I said, I'm doing the CV axles next, so I'm gonna leave this top one open for now. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the wheel off, pull the bolt out that's right there, and then I should be able to pull that axle out, and then of course a CV nut in the end. Get that one out, put the new one in, put this back together, and then lift the other side of the car and pull this axle out. Not quite removing it fully, because I want a little bit of leverage here if I have to pull it out of the diff, so it doesn't just slide out of here. All right, now 19, see if this will break this loose or not. Nice. Just need a wrench now. Got me a 19. I'm gonna go ahead and slip on. Let's see if I can get this thing to break loose now. Come on. That. Beautiful. All right, now we're gonna try to get this axle out real quick. Should just be able to put a pry bar in here. Just kind of, right there, look at that, pop right out. Now, just nut off the rest of the way here. Hold this back. There we go. Out of the diff. I'm gonna have to pop it out of this actual brake, but then she should be out. She's close. You can see her just kind of hanging out in here. Really, honestly, got rusted in this bearing area, but almost to that point where I can get her out now. See here. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, axle number 1, the driver's side axle, is now out. I got the new axle in. Just gotta get this thing to slide in a little easier. Let's see if I can kind of lift this thing up. I have to pull it out a little bit, just like that. Come on, baby, come on. Couldn't really do it on camera, but I got the inside back in. Now I'm gonna put the outside back on, tighten the CV nut on, put this bolt back through here, and then put the spacer on that sits right there, and the wheel. All right, this side is done, all back together. Axle looking nice and brand new in there. Go ahead and lower this side down. I will torque all these afterwards, but for now I'm just gonna lower this thing down, pull the other side off, and get the other axle out and in. That axle's out. Go ahead and open the second one. Go ahead and drop that in. Probably time lapse for reinstalling it, so it's not so repetitive. Okay, both the rear axles are done. Now I'm gonna put some diff fluid back in this car. You know the diff is full when you got it pouring back out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the top plug back in, and I'll tighten this thing down and lower the rear end. And I think the rear end is pretty much done at this point. And now it's just gonna be the front end with the exhaust and steering rack and everything else. All right, my buddy just came over and he's gonna pull the wires out and then the plugs out, and I'm gonna do the transmission flush. We've got these started. 2 wires for the driver's side and 2 wires for the passenger side are both out. He's working on getting the spark plugs out. And then, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and drain the fluid on the tranny and fill it back up. Pretty much any Subaru transmission is gonna use one of these. It's a T70 Torx. From what I'm aware, they all use it. So get one of these things if you're gonna do a transmission flush. Woo. All right, transmission is tightened. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off down here and then fill this up with fluid. We got the valve cover bolts, all 3 of them on top are off. The bottom, working on the 3 on the bottom here. That one's broke loose, that one's loose, and then the back one I gotta break loose and take off, and then this valve cover will be out. Oops, right there. All right, just pull the plugs out. That's terrible. Other one doesn't look quite as bad. We got some nice fresh boys to drop in. All right, valve cover for the driver's side is off. I had to lift the motor up, move it to the side a little bit, and actually come down from the top down to the bottom because of how this forester is sitting. But valve cover's off. Gonna go ahead and clean that side, and we have brand new valve covers, new valve cover gaskets, and new spark plug tube seals. And then I think I have to swap over this oil tube to the new valve cover. All right, valve cover on driver's side's back on. Still gotta put the new wires on. Valve cover on passenger side I just dropped. Go ahead and install the new one, and then it'll almost wrap up the engine stuff. Valve cover all ready to go back on the car, and new spark plug seals. Out with the old spark plug wires, these black ones, and in with the new blue ones. Doing number 3 and number 1, and then I'll skip over to number 2 and 4. Okay, valve covers and everything else are done engine wise. Working on the headers now. And I got a brand new one and brand new O2 sensors, which is really nice. The old header bolts actually snapped, so it's cool. This one actually includes new ones as well. You can see brand new header versus the old one. O2 sensors in the boxes, and then we got a new gasket. Beautiful new O2 sensors installed. Ready to drop this header back on the car. All right, header's on. Now we're going to install the mid pipe, and then check transmission fluid after we just fill it up, but let's just check and make sure we're good. And then we're about done. There's a new mid pipe. There's the old one. Let's get this thing on. See if we can check trans fluid on camera. Gorgeous. Nice and full. Alrighty, header looking nice. All nice and tight down there now. New O2 sensors in. And I'm currently torquing these lug nuts like I said I was gonna do earlier. Going to 80 foot-pounds. And I'm gonna go around and tighten both these wheels and then start it and Alright, let's do first start here. Make sure not in gear. Listen to that thing purr. Wow.
Sounds good and healthy and no drips, no nothing.
Now, what kind of video would it be if I didn't potentially end it on some sort of a cleaning montage? Just a maintenance video there on a Forester. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's gonna be a part 2 of me doing the control arms in the front and the steering rack. So I guess if you want to see that, I'll make that. It'll be shorter videos, just those 2 parts. But thank you for watching and subscribe.